Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan. I am on a roll with these. But that's only because NECA is on a roll with these. That's right, I'm going to look at some more video game inspired action figures from the fine folks at NECA Toys. So, I'm a little bit late on these, but I had to do them. I had to do a video showcasing them because I think they are so very cool. While most of the figures we've received in this lineup have been basically one figure from a specific video game and has come in a cool video game box, this particular line features multiple figures all from the same video game. You guys remember a little game called Robocop versus the Terminator from the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis? That's right, NECA Toys has released an entire line of action figures based on that very video game. In fact, there are 6 action figures in the Robocop vs. Terminator lineup. And we're going to take a look at all 6 of them here today. Yeah! Now, unlike most of the video game-inspired action figures we've received from NECA Toys so far, the Robocop vs. Terminator figures do not come in fully enclosed boxes that resemble the old game box. Instead, they come in these window boxes here. However, the window boxes do still have some pretty fantastic artwork on it that is very reminiscent of that old video game. In the lineup, we have 2 different Robocops. We've got Flamethrower Robocop and Rocket Launcher Robocop. And then on the Terminator side, we have the Terminator with Plasma Rifle and the Heavy Gunner Endoskeleton. Now, the cool thing about these packages is that they are designed in such a way where you can set them up side by side to complete the Robocop versus Terminator theme. You'll notice that the bottom portion of the boxes feature really awesome 16-bit graphic versions of Robocop and the Endoskeleton with the words Robocop versus the Terminator that go all the way across both boxes. In fact, even flipping the packages around to the back side, we have a cool little scene set up with all of the action figures that will also fit together when you put the 2 boxes side by side. Another cool thing about these boxes is they do feature that really cool gray grid-like pattern in the background there that is very reminiscent of the game box that the video game actually came inside of. Now, in addition to these 4 basic figures, there was also a Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack featuring 2 Endoskeletons, and those come in a similar style box, but it is a bit larger as it's designed to house both action figures at once. So the window boxes are pretty great on these, and they make for a pretty neat way to display the action figures, but we're going to go ahead and open these up and take a closer look at each of them one by one. Let's go ahead and start with our standard Flamethrower Robocop. I want to start with him because, like we've seen with most of the other NECA video game figures, these are all basically just repaints of prior NECA action figures. So this specific Robocop here is the exact same Robocop we've seen in the main line that has that same feature where his leg opens up to reveal his gun. And the action feature works exactly the same. If you press the little button on there, the leg opens up, we've got the gun inside that we can pull out, and then you can easily close the leg back up. It's a really great feature. So while the action figure itself is exactly the same, the thing that really makes this guy stand out is his paint job. He's been given that really cool 16-bit look to the overall paint job to make him appear the way he did in the video game. Now, we did receive a Robocop in the video game line from NECA already. However, that one was based on the Nintendo game, not this Super Nintendo Robocop vs. Terminator. So if you look at these 2 side by side, you will notice that the paint jobs are similar, but they are different from one another. They're from 2 different video games. This new Robocop here has a really neat deco that's got a great mixture of blues that are darker on the chest, lighter on the helmet, great shading on there to make it look reflective, and definitely gives it that very video game look. And as you rotate him around to the backside, he's got much more of a purple look. So instead of being that silvery blue color that he was in the movies, he's definitely got a bit more of a wacky paint job with the purples and the blues. But again, this is meant to match the 16-bit sprites from the video game. So in addition to his standard gun that comes out of the holster in his leg, he also comes with this really neat flamethrower accessory. That was one of the things in the video game. You pick up different guns as Robocop, so it's kind of cool to get these different accessories. The flamethrower looks awesome, and it has that same really cool 16-bit graphic-like paint job. And you can just fit that in his right hand, the same one that you would put his regular gun in, and it looks really neat. Now, it also comes with this awesome translucent flame blast, and it's very cool because it's got one fireball towards the bottom, and then it splits out into 3 fireballs like it would fire in the video game. So it's a really great little accessory. However, this is the downfall of the whole thing. When you plug the little flame accessory into the front of the flamethrower, it throws the whole balance off on the figure, and he falls forward or the gun falls out of his hand. Unfortunately, I was unable to find any way to display this particular Robocop while holding the flames actually coming out of the flamethrower. So you'll probably have to get a little clever with your setup if that's the way you want to display him. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the second Robocop in the lineup here. This one is very cool. This is the rocket launcher version, but the thing that really makes him stand out is all of the battle damage, including the flames. He's on fire, literally. How cool is that? So the coloration on the figure is exactly the same, but you'll notice the difference is he's got lots of little bullet holes and scratches all in his torso, his arm, and his helmet, and then he has these awesome translucent flames that are just coming off of his chest and his right arm there. Those are permanently attached to the figure, so they're non-removable, but they look very cool. And I really love the way the paint job around the flames on the figure has this nice orange look to it, to kind of look as though the flames are reflective off of the figure. It really makes for a unique way to display Robocop on your shelf. It's a very cool looking toy. So this particular Robocop comes with 2 accessories of his own. First of all, he does have a different little gun from the first Robocop figure with an awesome matching purple and blue paint job that you can put in his right hand there. Or if you want to go bigger, he's got the rocket launcher. This rocket launcher is fantastic because, like the flamethrower, it has an attachable little piece on the front, but this one functions a lot better. You can see it's got this great little rocket that's got this yellow burst coming off the back of it. It plugs in nice and solid to the front of the rocket launcher, and now we can pose our Robocop as if he's blasting off his rocket at the Terminators. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation on Robocop here. Since this is the same Robocop that we've seen in the line previously, and both Robocops are very similar builds, you might already know what to expect, but just in case, here we go. The head's on a nice ball joint, so it can roll all the way around, look up and down. It's ball jointed at the base of the neck there, which is very nice. The arms are also jointed, little ball joints on the inside there. You'll notice that obviously the tops of the shoulders, because of the sculpt, are going to hinder that movement just a little bit, but you can still move them forwards and backwards very nicely. You do have joints at the elbows, which are nice and tight, standard joint there, and then you can swivel the figure at the wrist. He does have a nice torso rocker there, so you can kind of swivel his torso around. He also has a waist cut, so you can swivel him at the waist. He does have the same type of joints at the thighs as we saw on the arms there, but the legs mostly are just going to move forwards and backwards. They move outwards and inwards just a little bit there, but again, the sculpt is going to hinder that movement just a bit. We do have really nice tight joints at the knees there for a great range of motion, and the ankles are also articulated, and one of the things I always love is how the pistons actually work on this guy. So the back of the legs there, you'll notice how the little piston goes in and out as you move the ankles. So pretty great little range of motion on this guy. Works just like we've seen on other Robocop figures, but will allow you for some pretty good poses with him. Alright, so let's jump over to take a look at the Terminators in the lineup. Just like Robocop, these are based on pre-existing NECA action figures, so if you've already seen the T-800 in the past, you know what you're getting here. And it's pretty cool because the figure actually does have the Arnold likeness going on there, but the thing that makes him very different from what we've already seen is, of course, that video game paint job. He's mostly a black figure, but you'll notice he's got this really cool purple 16-bit looking shading seen all throughout the jacket and the leather pants there. Also, the hair is a jet black, and the eye is also painted black with a little bit of a red dot in there, so it definitely gives his face much more of a video game or almost a cartoony look to it. It doesn't look as realistic as your standard T-800 would. And of course, another thing that's really great about this guy is he does have some exposed endoskeleton. So there's a huge part of his face that's missing where you can see the endoskeleton underneath. Has that cool 16-bit-ish paint job to it, but it also has a nice bloody look all the way around it. Same goes for the chest, and down the arm there's blood, and of course he's got that knee exposed as well. So he's a pretty sweet looking figure. Now, he does come with a cool video game-inspired weapon. He's got his little plasma rifle there, and that is, of course, also got that same 16-bit paint job. Very cool-looking weapon. Fits the best in his right hand. Both of his hands are molded for holding weapons, but the left is much more open. So the right works a lot better, but that way you can get some pretty neat poses with him holding onto that plasma rifle. And then we're going to get to the endoskeletons. These are the most fun, in my opinion. We have seen the standard endoskeletons released from NECA before, so of course what makes these different are the paint jobs. There's 3 different ones. We've got the one that's got the larger Gatling gun, and then we've got the 2 that came in that Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack. The Gatling gun one has more of a grayish color scheme, and it's a very cool looking colorization there, instead of the silver that we're used to seeing from the movies. And then the 2-pack has one that's a bluish color and one that's an orangish color. And all 3 of them have this great deco to it that, again, makes them look like they pulled right out of the video game. The one that comes single-packed has the larger Gatling gun accessory, which is really cool. It's got a little backpack that plugs right into the 2 holes on its back. It's got the long chain of bullets there that plugs right onto the Gatling gun. And the Gatling gun itself is a very nice-looking piece. It is worth noting that he doesn't get a very good grip on it. It's very loose-fitting in his hand, so you're definitely going to need to use the little turret piece, the little stand that comes with it. It doesn't clip onto it. The gun just kind of rests on there, but that way you can pose him holding on to that Gatling gun. And then the 2 that come in the 2-pack each come with their own little plasma rifle, very similar to the T800 there. And they're just colored to match the actual endoskeletons themselves. And they're very nice because you can get them held in one hand, or you can even get some really nice 2-handed poses out of them. This is very cool because these are the guys you seem to encounter quite a bit throughout the game. So it really gives you the opportunity to army build these guys if you want to build out a whole world of Robocop versus Terminator video game action figures on your shelf. So let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation on our Terminator figures now. Now, as I said, the T800 is based on an older version of this character in action figure form, so his articulation is a little more limited than we've seen from a lot of NECA's recent offerings. The head is jointed at the base of the neck, so it can look left and right and move up and down. It's on a little ball joint at the base of the neck there. The arms have the nice ball-like joints there, so they can go upwards. Not too high there, but you can move them upwards, forwards, and backwards just fine. You have swivels at the elbow, standard elbow joint. Also, you have the nice ball joints at the wrists, so they can swivel around as well as even move up and down just a little bit there. Nothing in the torso, but of course that would break up the sculpt there of the exposed endoskeleton. He does swivel at the waist, but very limited articulation from here on out. The legs are very, very static. There's no articulation anywhere in here except for this swivel here in the left leg, and then you can also swivel down here at the boot. But that's pretty much all we're going to get with this guy, so you're not going to get a wide range of movement with him. Now, the endoskeleton has a lot more articulation. It is worth noting that he's a very thin figure, so he might be a little more fragile than some of the others. He's not very solid, but that's because of the way he's built. So definitely worth noting, and a figure stand will also help you keep this guy standing pretty well. Otherwise, the head's on a nice little ball joint there, so you can move it around left and right, up and down. He does have these little wires there that might hinder the movement just a little bit on the side of the neck. You got the nice hinge joints at the shoulders there that works very much like ball joints. So your arms can go upwards, they can move forwards, backwards. You can again see the little cables there are molded in a way so that they don't really hinder the movement. They move right along with the arm, so that's very cool. Swivel at the bicep there. You got a standard joint at the elbow. You even have swivels at the wrists. You can even move the torso, and look at that. The little pistons there. See how they move when you turn them? How cool is that? I love that. Very, very cool. You do have the ball joints at the shoulder, or the thighs there. And again, you got the little pistons in the legs. So look at that. They move when you articulate the thighs. So that's very cool. You can also move the legs forwards and backwards. You can bend the knee, and you can swivel the foot as well as articulate the toes on the feet. So pretty great range of motion there. Love the way all the pistons are designed and the cables. It works with the articulation. So that's very, very cool. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the Robocop vs. Terminator action figures from NECA Toys, inspired by the 16-bit video game we saw on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. It's another great little expansion from NECA's video game-inspired action figures. It's pretty neat to see them do multiple characters from one video game. We've not really seen that in the past. Usually these figures are just one figure from a video game, and they come in that box that looks like the old video game. These were sold a little bit different. You could find these at stores like Toys R Us, and they've been out for a little while, but they might still be lingering on the shelf, so you definitely want to do some hunting around at your retail locations to see if you can pick these guys up if you are interested. It's pretty great posing these guys right alongside all of the other NECA video game figures on your shelf, and it is amazing to see how far this line has come. Look at this massive amount of video game-inspired action figures NECA has made. It's amazing, and I absolutely love this collection. So there you go. Like I said, you might still be able to track these down on store shelves right now, so happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.